Hello, it's great to be with you all today. I know it seems like I've been on a little bit of a hiatus. It's not been my plan, but with spring here and good weather, there's all sorts of things around the house, and we're working on converting a cargo van into a travel van, and all sorts of things that well pull me away and away from recording content. So I do plan to get back into more of a regular rhythm on the content. So I appreciate your patience. So thank you for that. I'm grateful that you're all here today. And while I'm thinking about it, I hope you enjoy the content and give it a good old thumbs up as you watch this, and hopefully you find something that's helpful. No, I'm not doing a bourbon tasting video today, but I do have a pour. A lot of manual labor out in the yard today. So just chilling, relaxing, enjoying the rest of the evening. And, the thought occurred to me, it's been a minute. So let's share some mindset content for you today. All right. So pop quiz or question for you all. Who likes breathing? I know I do. But I'm curious, how many times have you actually thought about breathing? I mean, there's probably been moments here and there where you're suddenly aware of your breath and your breathing. Sometimes, at least for me, those moments are in a high stress or a high anxiety situation and whatnot. It's rare or less common probably for someone to be aware of or focus on their breathing in calm, smooth moments. But I wanted to share with you 4 breathing techniques today, and they're all slightly different. And at least for me, they all have slightly different benefits or times when I will use some of those breathing techniques. I try to be cognizant of my breathing several times throughout the day, even if it's just for a few breath cycles. I pay attention to my breath. I honestly try to do some sort of breathing exercise at least once, and often several times throughout the day as well. I just want to be intentional, at least at moments throughout my day, about my breathing. And I think if you pay attention to your breathing, a lot of good things can happen from that. I also want to highlight a book called, I don't have a hard copy with me today. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. But the book's called, I believe it's called Breath, and I believe it's by an investigative journalist named James Nestor, if I'm remembering. So if I'm wrong, please leave me a comment and correct me. But I highly recommend that book. I read it probably a couple years ago. And even then I was, fairly in tune with breath work at that point in time, but I learned a lot. I learned how important it is to inhale through your nose, and how when you do, there's like this fun, beautiful chemical reaction that's happening on your inhalation when you go through the nose. So, check that book out. I listened to it on Audible. I've had a hard copy somewhere. I've misplaced it, but it's definitely worth it. It's really interesting to learn about breathing and how important it is to breathe in through your nose. So check that out. But today, like I said, I'm going to focus on 4 breath techniques. I'm going to teach you these breath techniques. So, and each of them are pretty easy, honestly. I promise you, each and every one of you can do these 4 breath techniques that I'm going to talk to you about today. The first one, it's called box breathing. The second one is paced breathing. The third is called breath of fire. And there's a few variations of that name that I've seen, but breath of fire seems to be pretty consistent. And then the fourth technique I'm going to teach you today has a few names as well. There's a few different variations, but I refer to it as mental reset breath technique. It's very similar. If you've ever watched this or heard about this gentleman named Wim Hof, he has a breathing method. It's very similar to mental reset. If you haven't heard of Wim Hof, go check it out. Great video on documentary on Vice, or on YouTube by Vice, about Wim Hof. This was a few years ago, but there's a lot of content on Wim Hof. The dude is crazy. but it's pretty interesting what he does, and it's all about breathing. So check out Wim Hof, Wimhof. Well worth your time. And then it also sometimes another name for mental reset or Wim Hof. There's a Buddhist breathing technique called Tummo. Again, there's slight variations between these, but there's a lot of similarities between those two. And I'm not here to split hairs or get into all the semantics of the breath work. So first, let's go into box breathing. And it's my understanding that a lot of folks in the military, thank you for your service, especially like some of the elite teams like Navy SEALs and Green Berets and groups like that, they practice box breathing together as a unit. And it's very simple. You're going to inhale for a 4 count. So 2, 3, 4. You're going to hold for a 4 count. 2, 3, 4. You're going to exhale for a 4 count. 2, 3, 4. And then you're going to hold for a 4 count. 2, 3, 4. So inhale 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. So it makes a box, right? So practice that a few times. Let's do it, here briefly. So do that a few times. What does box breathing do? To me, it kind of just calms me, right? It gets me in a clearer state of mind, so to speak. I find if I'm in a situation where maybe I need to focus a little bit, or maybe, it might be a little bit of a stressful situation. Maybe I'm in a meeting and it's just lots of different times to do box breathing. And all these breathing techniques that I'm going to talk to you about today, you can do them and no one will know. And even if somebody did know, who cares? You're just breathing, right? And you're trying to breathe to your benefit. But box breathing is, for me, it has a calming effect. Just clarity of mind, something where I can focus. And it makes sense if military teams and individuals are using box breathing. I mean, I know they need to focus on the mission at hand. So this box breathing gives them that mental clarity to do so. All right. The next breathing technique is called paced breathing. And it's slightly different than box breathing. And the inhalation is typically a 4 count again. Inhale for 4, but this time there's no hold per se. At any point, it's inhale, exhale. So you inhale for 4, but then you exhale for a 6 count. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So do that a few times throughout your day. When can you use pace? When is a good time to use paced breathing? Well, if you're in a flight mode, maybe you have some anxiety, or you're in a freeze, and you're in those negative performance zones where the adrenaline may be kicking in, and maybe you have some cortisol pumping through your veins and through your body. It's a stressful situation, and your heart rate is out of whack, out of rhythm, or maybe going a bit rapid. Well, paced breathing can help get your heart back into normal rhythm. And my understanding is that exhalation, since it's a little bit longer, actually helps get your heart rate back to where it needs to be. So again, very easy. And with both the box breathing and the paced breathing, at a minimum, do at least 5 breath cycles. But you could also do this for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You could do it in a form of meditation. And don't get too caught up in the count. If you're like, oh crap, that one was 5 and it should have been 6, or whatever the case may be. Just breathe. Just get into a flow and a rhythm. Maybe you count to yourself at first to kind of get used to it. Maybe do that for a few cycles, and then just get into this normal flow. But you'll find your rhythm there. And don't worry if your 4 or your count is the same or different than mine. It's okay. But again, paced breathing, really good to help calm the heart. All right. So the next one is going to do a little bit of a different thing, and this is the breath of fire breath technique. And I don't know who names all these things, but this one's kind of fun. And I've seen a few different variations of the breath of fire. But basically, and I'll describe the two variations, but it's going to be rapid breathing, in, out, in, out, in, out, really quick. And I've heard or seen a couple of variations, some where you're inhaling and exhaling through the nose. I've seen inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. I've seen inhale and exhale through the mouth, and all those sorts of things. I don't know which way is preferred. Again, I try to inhale through my nose, generally speaking. But the fun thing that I like to add to this one is a little bit of an arm motion. And so when I inhale, I throw my arms up and my hands open, and then when I exhale, I clench my fist and pull it down. Do that for about 15 seconds. This one's quick. I'm not trying to get you to hyperventilate here. If you did this for a couple of minutes, you might be passed out on the floor. But all right, so when do you use the breath of fire? Well, breath of fire, if you need a little bit of a burst of energy, maybe it's like 2:30 in the afternoon and you've been sitting at your desk and you're a little tired, you had too many carbs for lunch and you really feel like a nap, or you've just lost that energy and you're starting to look at the clock. You're like, when is this day going to be over? Well, the breath of fire, sometimes you can do that. Now, somebody's going to notice this if you're doing that one, but go to the bathroom. People may ask you what you're doing. Tell them. Who cares? Again, you're just breathing, and you're breathing for your benefit. But this is going to give you a burst of energy. It's probably going to accelerate your heart rate just a little bit. But after you do that for about 15, maybe 30 seconds, you can get back into your normal breathing and just, all right, chill out. But it's going to flood you. It's going to put you in my opinion, it's going to put you in more of a fight performance zone. And fight performance zone isn't always bad, but you're going to get that noradrenaline. You're going to get that dopamine. You're gonna feel like you can conquer the world after you do the breath of fire. So that's going to give you that burst of energy. So check that out. Try it. The last one, the mental reset / Wim Hof / Tummo, whatever you want to call it. This one's a little more complicated. It's the most complicated of the 4 breath techniques that I'm sharing with you today. And I'll describe it for you. I'm not going to go through it all with you today. If you'd like to learn more about this or any of the other 3 breath techniques that I've talked to you about today, send me a note, leave me a comment. If you want to have a chat, a Zoom call or a video chat, and you want me to guide you through some of these breathing exercises so you can learn a little bit more about them, I'd be happy to do so. Love to do that. I love sharing breath work with folks because it's so powerful. But the Wim Hof it's got some similarities to the breath of fire, but basically, and I'll do a couple of these, but you're going to do kind of a really deep belly inhalation and a short exhale, right? Now, again, I've seen variations where do you inhale through your nose or through your mouth? Frankly, it's preference, in my opinion. Again, my preference, I like to inhale through my nose. And you're going to do that for at least 30 breaths, okay? You can go 35, you can go 40, you can go 50. But my advice to you is when you're first trying this, go for at least 30 breaths. And here's where the twist comes in. On breath number 30, so your inhale, that last exhalation on breath 30 is a deep one. You're trying to push everything out of your lungs, all the air out. And once you feel like you pushed everything out, then you're going to hold your breath. And you're going to hold it for as long as you can. Now, nobody has got a timer. There's no competition here. If you can hold your breath for 12 seconds, awesome. If you can hold it for 12 minutes, awesome. But on that 30th breath exhalation, hold your breath for as long as you can until you just can't fight that anymore. And then when that happens, you get that urge to take a breath and you can't fight it anymore, then take a real deep inhalation. And then hold that without exhaling for another 10 to 15 seconds. And then real slow, intentional exhalation, right? when you do the Wim Hof, your body will probably feel tingly. You're basically hyper oxygenating your body. So you are kind of hyperventilating ish, but you're flooding your body with oxygen. And when do you do the mental reset slash Wim Hof slash Tummo breathing? I like to do it right before I need to focus on or do something. A task that's going to require maybe a little bit of energy. If I'm going to work out, I'm probably going to do Wim Hof for a little bit. I might also do a Wim Hof, before I do a meditation. I'm going to do it before I do some visualization. I'm going to do it before I do some journaling. It gives, at least for me, it gives a lot of mental clarity, and it's very interesting technique. What I find really, really interesting is if you do 2 or 3 Wim Hofs in a row. Now, very important about at least the Wim Hof mental reset breath technique and the breath of fire. Well, breath of fire, you probably shouldn't be doing this if you're driving a car. Yeah, definitely should not do the mental reset slash Wim Hof breath technique. If you're driving, you should be stationary, sitting down. You can do it laying down. The box breathing and the pace breathing, you can do that just about anywhere, anytime. But definitely with the mental reset, make sure you're not operating heavy machinery or that sort of thing. You're sitting down. You've got a few minutes to do this. Once you do the breath technique, then you're gonna feel invigorated. You're gonna feel, like I said, your body's gonna feel a little tingly. You're, at least for me, my mind is like, it's like, whoa, it's like, that's pretty cool. So I encourage you to try all these. And I'd love to hear about your experience. And even if you don't share it, I just want to encourage you all to be intentional about your breathing, because breathing is pretty damn important. And if you could put some real intention, and attention behind your breathing, there's lots of benefits from this. And I've only touched on 4 breath techniques. Literally, there are hundreds, probably thousands that exist. So if you're curious, do some other research on different breath techniques. Again, appreciate y'all tuning in. Thanks for the thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And until next time, cheers.